CTV News with Matt Grillo.
Good evening. Canada has made World Cup history. The co-hosts beat South Africa in a close 1-0 game. For the first time, Canada now advances to the round of 16. Here's Sweeta Rassi.
This is dropping nicely. It's the
It took until the 92nd minute, but Stefan Eustachio scored the late goal and gave Canada something they've never had before. The 1-0 win means Canada is advancing to the next stage of the knockouts. Fans at Bar Frappé proudly dressed in red and white to watch the game.
This team showed everything that what Canadian means.
It was a nail-biting match with close calls and eyes glued to the screen. It was do or die, and at Burgundy Lion, the mood was just as tense. But despite the ups and downs, Canada came out on top.
I'm so proud of everybody for pushing through and getting the ball past that defense, and just absolutely thrilled. So excited.
I wasn't that nervous, but going into the last minutes, that's when the nerves started kicking in. And I knew we had a better team. I knew we were playing better.
I was really nervous, but you know what? I have a big trust in our boys. They made it today, and you know what? They made a lot of 40 million Canadians happy today.
We're a soccer nation. Don't sleep on us.
Their run isn't over yet as the team looks ahead to its next game in Houston, Texas. Canada will now either face the Netherlands or Morocco on July 4th. Sweeta Rassi, CTV News.
And we will be bringing you live FIFA coverage on CTV throughout the tournament. This will impact some of our regularly scheduled newscasts. Remember, you can always get the latest local news on ctvnewsmontreal.ca. Last night, attendance at the Jazz Festival broke records. Tens of thousands of people filled Place des Festivals to see Quebec's Angine de Poitrine. Attendance reached capacity and officials had to close the site, leaving plenty of people outside the Jean-Mance and St. Catherine Street area. Jazz Fest officials say they have not seen these types of numbers for a show since Stevie Wonder played the festival in 2009. Angine de Poitrine has recently experienced a stellar rise in success after a video of one of their sets was shared on social media in February.
The connection between the band and the audience, the fans, because there were real fans in the audience. It was such a privilege to be witnessing something like that. So incredible evening that we will, remember for decades. At the beginning, we're thinking about doing a surprise show on a smaller stage, and we decided just before it got very big, we saw in the last months, we decided to put them on the main stage, and I think it was the best decision for the festival goers and for us too. And yeah, it's so surprising, but it's amazing to see local talents becoming the talk of the not of the town but the talk of the world in the music business industry, and it's incredible.
Urgence Santé says paramedics responded to 10 calls between 10 p.m. and midnight and transported 6 people to hospital. The incidents included falls, intoxication, and other medical problems. None of them were considered life-threatening. A coroner's report is shedding light on the death of a park extension man. He died on the streets after being forced from his home last winter. Community advocates say the report stops short of recommending the changes needed to prevent another tragedy. Laurence Brisson-Dubreuil reports.
Manjit Singh was a husband, a father, and to many in Park Extension, a neighbor who should still be here. Almost 6 months after his death, a coroner's report is reigniting calls for change. For Farid Benakli, who works closely with vulnerable residents in the neighborhood, the biggest issue is what the report leaves out.
The absence of any recommendation is a missed opportunity. A man froze to death in a neighborhood Neighborhood with no adult shelter and no warming center, and that fact alone calls for action.
Singh had been without housing for just 6 days when he died in January. He was found outside in minus 15-degree weather. The coroner writes the 42-year-old had been forced to leave his home following a dispute or situation involving his roommates. The report concludes his death was caused by the combined effects of acute alcohol intoxication and environmental hypothermia. Community groups say the lack of recommendations is a missed opportunity to push for change, and that Singh's death highlights gaps that have been raised before. Park Extension only has a shelter for 18 to 25-year-olds and no warming center. Beneclé says many residents face additional barriers.
When you don't speak the language and you have this precarious immigration status, you cannot have the job, you cannot sign a lease on your own, so you're really dependent.
He says some people are also afraid to seek help because of their immigration status, and that the housing crisis is making the situation worse.
We have a big lake of housing. We have many people in the same apartment because it's really hard to find the place, and also the rent, the rise of rent in Montreal has big impact on those population.
The report comes as Quebec prepares for a public inquiry into deaths involving unhoused people in Montreal. But above more reports, Beneclé says people in crisis need somewhere to turn before it's too late.
Not having the resources, adapted resources, can be a matter of life and death.
With the provincial election this fall, he hopes governments take notice and that Singh's death leads to action rather than another warning ignored. Laurence Brisson-Dubreuil, CTV News.
Valerie Fabricant has died in prison. Fabricant shot and killed 4 people at Concordia University in 1992. He was found guilty in 1993 and was serving a life sentence at Archambault Institution in Sainte-Anne-des-Plaines. Correctional Service Canada said he died of apparent natural causes. He was 86. Fabricant, a professor of mechanical engineering at Concordia University, opened fire in the engineering department building, killing 4 professors and wounding a secretary. He was facing dismissal before he committed his crimes and accused his colleagues of stealing his work. In 2020, the Canadian Parole Board denied Fabricant's request for release. It said he still posed a risk to society, noting that after 28 years behind bars, he still did not acknowledge that he had targeted innocent people. There has been a series of fatal collisions involving motorcycles and vehicles this weekend. 6 people have died in 4 separate crashes in different parts of the province. CAA is reminding people to be extra vigilant because vacation season means there are more vehicles on highways and roads. We are now in what is typically the deadliest period on Quebec roads. Here's more from CAA spokesperson André Durocher.
I always say that you're not on vacation until you've actually arrived. And it's quite sad to see the beginning we were having. But if you remember last year, we also had quite a brutal beginning. Let's hope that it's not a tendency because there's still a lot of time to go. We're just 5 days into that period. So that means 70 more days to go. And as we're talking now, we're Sunday. Sunday, some people are coming back from the country, back from drives they took. So maybe another call to be careful. And also what I find unfortunate, all the, I would say, apparent causes, because we have to wait for the investigations to be over, they're all avoidable. If it's speeding, lack of attention, it's all something we can have control over.
And the agency adds that the majority of the fatal crashes were not caused by road conditions or weather, but by human behavior. Well, many from Montreal's film industry are worried the city's expertise is eroding. The rising concern comes as Mel's announces the closing of its film development lab and screening room. Mel's president, Patrick Jutras, tells CTV News cost-cutting measures were necessary to meet clients' needs. Jutras blames a lack of competitive tax credit for foreign productions. He says there has also been a decline in audio-visual investment. Mel's film development lab for professional productions was the only one in Canada. SOPFER has placed a ban on open fires in parts of the province. The affected areas are northern Quebec, Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean, and the North Shore. Open fires include campfires, fireworks, and the use of anything that can create a spark.
Weather brought to you by Gratian Scaff's 50th anniversary gift event. Get a complete second pair and sunglasses as a gift.
Taking a look at your forecast now, it is 25 degrees in Montreal, much cooler in the eastern townships. It's 15 in Sherbrooke and 16 degrees in Quebec City. It's looking like a beautiful day tomorrow. Plenty of sunshine, 19 degrees in the morning. It's going to warm up. We'll have a high of 29 in the afternoon, and the warm weather continues throughout the week with highs in the 30s Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. But don't put away your umbrella. A chance of showers each day from Tuesday to Friday. After the break, foreign aid is coming into Venezuela, but what is needed and how can people help? Rescue efforts are ongoing in Venezuela with more than 1,400 people dead and tens of thousands still missing. Foreign aid is arriving from countries around the world after earthquakes hit Venezuela on Wednesday. And joining us now is Cristina Garcia, the Regional Director for Latin America and the Caribbean with Save the Children. So, Cristina, explain to us from what you're hearing, what's the situation like right now in Venezuela?
So, thank you for having me. So, the level of devastation of these two big earthquakes in Venezuela is unprecedented. So the situation remains very, very challenging. The last few days have been very much focused on the search and rescue activities to try to locate survivors. Those search and rescue activities are still ongoing. But at the same time, some additional humanitarian needs are emerging. Around, I think the latest figures is 200 buildings have collapsed. So there are many children and families, they don't have anywhere to go. They're sleeping in the streets. Some of them because they cannot return to their buildings, some because they are afraid or scared to return, or it is not safe because the buildings have been compromised. There are, improvised like shelters, and people are sleeping in tents, in parks. So, needs are rising, such as, food, safe water. And so this is the situation as it is now, very challenging.
Is it difficult getting aid and support into the country?
So, coordinating a response of that magnitude is challenging anywhere. So, the first days of an emergency like this one is always very, very challenging. Teams are getting to the ground. I mean, there are search and rescue teams for many, many different countries already working in Venezuela. But I think, until a response gets, up and running, it's going to take a little bit due to the magnitude of this crisis.
What type of support do children in Venezuela need right now?
So we are particularly concerned about the well-being of children. On the one hand, many of them are in shock. They have experienced a very shocking event. Some of them, they have been separated from their families. Some, have been rescued along, but their parents, unfortunately not. So this is a very challenging situation for children. We know at Save the Children from other emergencies that children are particularly vulnerable to, in this kind of situations, to exploitation and abuse. So we are specifically concerned about that. So now children need, a safe place to be. They need psychosocial support. They need safe water. They need food, and they need to be protected, and as well as their families.
We've seen some local fundraisers. We know of at least one here in Montreal. What can people donate, or what should they be donating?
So, the different organizations that are on the ground are already coordinating our response. Save the Children, for instance, we are deploying a health response. We are coordinating with local authorities to deploy our health emergency unit, as well as deploying with our partners in Venezuela health mobile teams. We are also providing some protection support for children, so psychosocial support, and also restoring, family links and coordinated with protection authorities. authorities. So my recommendation would be, to donate to a trusted organization. Save the Children is one of them, but it's not the only one that is responding to this emergency. For Save the Children, for instance, you can go to the Save the Children webpage, savethechildren.org. And there you can find a place to donate. But many other organizations that are trusted organizations, they have also, the same means to donate. And that would be my recommendation, people that are already working, that are already in the ground, and that are already providing assistance.
Cristina Garcia with Save the Children, thank you so much for speaking with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
One of Canada's most celebrated songwriters is hitting the road again. Despite advanced age, Bruce Cockburn says his tour will highlight 6 decades of socially conscious music. Stéphane Giroux reports.
Bruce Cockburn has won 13 Juno Awards since the 1970s. He pretty much defined Canadian protest songs. Age, he says, isn't slowing him down.
My hands have become quite arthritic, and certain things are more challenging than they used to be. There's maybe a very few songs, 4 or 5 songs that I've had to revise the guitar parts of.
Cockburn made his debut on the coffee house folk circuit and evolved over time with a crafty mix of blues, jazz, rock, and folk music.
My feeling was if I ended up, playing in bus shelters for pennies, that so be it. Lucky for me, it's been better than that.
Like many artists, retirement isn't an option because songwriting is not a craft that stops at 65.
Why stop? I mean, if I wasn't getting paid to do it, I'd be doing it anyway.
Cockburn never stopped recording. He has a new album coming out this fall, and to this day, he remains active on social issues.
My voice is available when called upon, pretty much, for any good cause. As a songwriter, I can spout my own ideas and my own reactions to things.
Cockburn has always defended liberal causes, but admits the current political climate can be hostile to his ideals.
It's very disturbing, actually, to be seeing things go in that direction. One of the deplorable developments that we're witnessing is that the inability to communicate with each other in a civilized manner.
But at 81, he's proud his songs have been covered by some prestigious artists, from Jerry Garcia to Canada's own Bare Naked Ladies.
People are paying attention to the songs. That's the best part for me.
Cockburn's tour begins next month in the U.S., but will hit Toronto, Ottawa, and Montreal in October. Stéphane Giroux, CTV News.
Just ahead, it was a high-scoring game at Percival Molson Stadium. Alouettes and Red Blacks. Details and highlights coming up.
News and local news that matters to you. Download the CTV News app right now by scanning the QR code on your screen using your smartphone. Or you can also go to our website, ctvnewsmontreal.ca.
The Montreal Alouettes were at home tonight against the Ottawa Red Blacks. The Alouettes had a strong first half, scoring 3 touchdowns. Quarterback Davis Alexander found Alexander Hollins for a touchdown to open the scoring, and then Dustin Crum scored 2 rushing touchdowns. The Owls led at halftime 21-6, but the Red Blacks would turn things around and score 2 touchdowns in the third quarter. It was a busy fourth quarter with the Owls and Red Blacks each scoring 2 touchdowns and 2 field goals. Despite a late push from Ottawa, the Alouettes come away with the victory 37-35. Taking a last look at weather, it's 25 degrees right now in Montreal, 15 in Sherbrooke, 16 degrees in Quebec City. Monday is going to be another beautiful day. Sunshine throughout the day, 19 degrees in the morning, and we'll have a high of 29. More warm temperatures ahead this week with highs in the 30s Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We're expecting periods of rain, a chance of showers from Tuesday to Friday. That's it for us tonight. For the latest news, listen to the Andrew Carter Morning Show tomorrow at 5 on CJAD 800. You can always head to our website, ctvnewsmontreal.ca, for more coverage. Have a great night and a wonderful start to your week.